Vegas Golden Knights knocked off Dallas 4-3. Brien Ray, of course, on the air for it. Valley Sports analyst and host of Stars coverage. Hey, Brien, thanks for joining us today. I saw the comments of your coach after the game last night, the 4-3 loss. I would like to get yours. What did you think of Game 1 last night? The Vegas, the only road team to win so far in these playoffs.
Well, in terms of storylines, dramas, and headlines, there's no shortage of Game 1, just with everything going into the series and then what occurred in that first game. Watching that game, I thought Dallas started a little bit slow in period 1. And when you take a penalty 26 seconds into the hockey game and you're just feeding that Vegas power play, which regardless of what the regular season numbers say, you look at the personnel they have now, that's a different looking power play than what it looked like 3 months ago and even past that. So I thought Dallas took longer to get to their game and Vegas got there quicker. And then for a team like Vegas, if they can build a 1-goal lead or a 2-goal lead, they are really good at keeping that uphill climb as steep as possible for you to try and reach back. Dallas, I thought they were okay in the second and they had a push in the third. I mean, it's a 4-3 finish, but when you get to this point and you're playing that team, even just taking an early penalty 26 seconds into a hockey game, that's a detail that can be a deciding factor. And I thought Vegas, they really used the first period to get the advantage.
Yeah, and I got to correct myself. Vegas was the only road team to win Game 1, but not the first road team to win in these playoffs because the Leafs won Game 2 last night. But I saw Peter DeBoer say after the game, we need to be, to paraphrase, we need to be perfect against a team like Vegas. So what's the panic factor after Game 1? Probably none at all, but thinking we just need to be better the rest of the way.
Well, the beauty of playoffs is after one game, everybody panics because it's the end of the world. But as soon as you win a game, you're world beaters, you know. I think for Dallas, no, it's not a panic factor. Everybody expects this series to be a long series, 6 or 7 games, and the way these two teams are built. If you're Dallas, I think you certainly need to win Game 2. Anytime you're the home team and you lose home ice advantage in Game 1, the stakes get raised quite a bit to get Game 2 and don't fall behind in an 0-2 hole having to go on the road. But I think, listening to Peter DeBoer's comments, there were parts of the game where Dallas controlled play. They had looks. They had the opportunity to tie the game late. They had the opportunity to tie the game throughout. The biggest thing that myself and my co-host Brent Seven were noticing, the Vegas Golden Knights defensively might be the largest and longest defensive core in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And the shell they can fortify in the middle of their own zone and in front of their own goaltender, they do it better than probably any team in these NHL playoffs. And so the challenge for Dallas, can they find a way to get interior or be more effective interior to try and break through that shell? Because if you watch Logan Thompson's game last night, it was juicy rebound after juicy rebound. Take the Mason Marchment cupcake that he gave up and park that to the side. There were second chance rebound looks galore for the Dallas Stars throughout that game. They just couldn't get to them. Vegas was the first team on that second chance puck in their own zone every single time. So for Dallas, they're going to have to find a way to get to some of those pucks and score a couple of goals that way and find a way to break through that defensive shell for Vegas. That's my biggest takeaway from Game 1 from a Dallas side.
You actually said that going into the series last year between these two teams, and they couldn't find a way to penetrate. Yeah, I remember you saying the same, and they couldn't figure out a way to do it. And and then kind of what you said was they're even a better team this year based on what they did, which reminds me, just if I can get your take on the Mark Stone issue. I opened the show by saying the whining is unbecoming of people. I don't remember an incident in hockey or in sports that has caused this much whining, mostly from the fans and media. How do you feel about what Vegas has done to acquire Hertl and Hannafin?
Well, I think, first of all, just in today's world, the social media factor has increased the whining ability of everybody tenfold at least. The way I view the Mark Stone situation, and you and I could go for an hour on this, I think big picture, by the letter of the law, there's nothing being broken. All right. Everything that has gone on is within the letter of the law. I think the spirit of the law is being pretty well exploited. And this is not just a Vegas issue. Any NHL team that would like to exploit it has the opportunity to do so. I think the problem is Vegas has made this their standing operating procedure, or at least it feels that way. They've made themselves the poster child of this loophole with the LTIR rule. So I view it more from a big picture standpoint. Stone's playing. He's here. We all knew it was coming. Nobody is surprised by this. This is the situation, and this is what you have to deal with. But if you're the NHL, and this cannot be changed unless it's through the collective bargaining agreement, so it is here to stay. The loophole's not going anywhere until a new CBA negotiation. I do think your fan base is giving you some market research, and the whining, as you phrase it, and the noise that is being drummed up. Your market is clearly telling you they want the loophole closed. So can you find a way to close that loophole when the collective bargaining agreement renegotiations come around? Maybe. Or maybe you don't want to close it. Maybe it's not that big of an issue. We will learn when the CBA needs to be reset, how the NHL feels, how the owners feel, and also how the Players Association feels about this loophole in the LTIR rule. But I do think some of the whining, your fans are telling you they want the loophole closed. They're just going to be shouting it from the rooftops for as long as Vegas continues to have success because they have made themselves the poster child of this loophole.
I want to say that was a very eloquent answer. And what you're kind of saying is it's a gentleman's agreement. No, you answered it very well. You're kind of saying it's a rule of thumb not to use this as a loophole. And they broke the gentleman's agreement or the rule of thumb. And here's the thing, for a guy that's I've known Kelly McCrimmon since I was 16. I know he has an MBA in business. I know how he operates. All fair in love and war. All is fair in love and war. He don't care. That's him. What?
I wouldn't look at it as a gentleman's agreement the way you phrased it. This is a byproduct that has simply developed. And it's a similar example to overtime. When overtime started 3-on-3, it was fast, it was chaotic, it was entertaining. Everybody loved it. A byproduct of that is the coaches simply figured out a way to slow down overtime. This LTIR loophole, now that it's being utilized in a different way to beef up your team come playoff time, this is just a byproduct of hockey operations departments figuring out a way within the laws to inflate their roster and make it as strong as possible. And this happens. Teams and rules, they evolve over time and things need to be tweaked. We have reached the point the loophole needs to be closed or at least tweaked in some way. I would view it more as a byproduct of just competitive
behavior. Also, very well said. No, I'm serious, dude. I am. And, hey, The last time you're on, I'm not going to keep you much longer. Just one more question. We ran out of time when you were getting your Brett Hull story. And I felt terrible that we had to run. But you're a TV guy. You get it. But we got time now. What do you got? A Brett Hull story.
Well, you and I were talking, just being hockey fans and sort of what turned us on. And you mentioned Brett Hull and the Easton aluminum stick. And I had an Easton aluminum growing up because of Brett Hull and just how cool it looked. So there was a story when I was growing up, and I may fudge some of the details, but why let the truth get in the way of a good story? At some point, Brett Hull, I believe, signed an agreement with Louisville and stopped using Easton aluminums and switched to their graphite sticks. And there was a playoff game when I was growing up. I believe it was against the Detroit Red Wings. Either his stick broke or something happened, and he quickly grabbed an Easton aluminum, and he rattled off a 4-goal game. And in the press conference afterwards, or meeting with the media afterwards, he basically had to apologize to Louisville, saying, look, I'm sorry. It was just a spur of the moment, but after I rattle off 4 goals against Detroit in a playoff game, I might have to stick with the Easton aluminum and see how things go from here, which I thought was hilarious. Because sometimes, players, you have agreements, you have endorsement deals. There's a business side. But also, if you rattle off 4 goals in a playoff game, you can't change the stick back. You have to stick with what's working for you. And for whatever reason, that Brett Hull story has stuck with me since I was a kid. And when you mentioned the Easton Aluminum, it was the first thing I thought of.
I love it. That's fantastic. You want an authentic influencer for your products. But it's like, if I can't score 4 with this thing, I don't know. And that's why Louisville never took off as a stick maker.
There you go.
Yes. That I give.
Not to blame Louisville, but the CEO of Easton had to be like, hey, we're not going to apologize for anything. It's not our fault the guy scored 4 with our stick.
Exactly. Brien, I really love our chats, man, and thanks for fitting us in. Good luck. Go Stars the rest of the way here.
We'll see it's going to be a great series. The bottom line, it'll be a great series. So I hope everybody enjoys it.
Thank you, pal. Appreciate it. Great job.